Iran, let me tell you something. This war just entered a new phase, and now you just pissed off the President of the United States of America. Because now we got some more breaking news coming in that this is not just an escalation. This is one pissed off, scorned freaking president. Donald Trump has just come to national TV that we are hitting Iran extremely, very, very hard for a third day in a row. We're going to do it today, and you know what? I think we're going to do it tomorrow as well. And then he comes out and says, we'll strike Iran as much as we want, and the truth is, there's not a damn thing that they can do about it. And then the president comes out and says, I'm starting to get to know these people, and I got to tell you that many of them are like out of their minds. They're nuts. They're crazy. Like they literally couldn't tell the truth about anything if their life depended on it. Sounds like a politician I know over there in New York City, doesn't it? Now I gotta tell you, whether you support this strategy or not, one thing that is becoming abundantly clear to me, this conflict is no longer about isolated military action. Tonight, the world is now watching to see how Iranians respond. Whether this escalates further or whether the pressure is going to change their course of action. But as always, I'm going to stay on top of every single move that is happening over there in the Middle East. So just stay with me, get your popcorn out, be ready, because this is going to be a wild ride. But most importantly, God bless our troops, and let's pray for peace through strength.
The United States has lost the war with Iran, and there's nothing that can be done. I'm an Iraq War combat veteran that was under fire for 6 months from rockets and mortars. When I got out of the military, I went to school to study military history. The Iran war fell quiet again after 13 days of strikes. Once again, the Islamic Republic is asserting control over the Strait of Hormuz. It's quite simple, actually. The United States went into Iran to neutralize the nuclear threat, to enact regime change, to change it from not being the Islamic Republic anymore, to make it something else, and to be able to seize the oil of Iran. None of those objectives have been met, and the Islamic Republic has gained the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is now being opened and closed at Iran's will. It's the very reason why the U.S. started striking Iran this time over. All it takes is 1 or 2 ships being hit by a drone or a missile, and then insurance companies will no longer cover any ships going through the strait, effectively shutting down the strait. The thing that started this 13-day campaign that the U.S. just went off on was because Iran hit 2 merchant ships, closing down the Strait of Hormuz. Iran still has a significant missile and drone capability all over the country, and they're hidden underground. All it takes is 1 missile or 1 drone to hit a couple of ships, and the strait is shut down once again, which is why Iran is asserting control over the Strait of Hormuz once again. In December, nearly 3 months before this war happened, I started talking to you guys about the Strait of Hormuz and how there would not be a military solution to the Strait of Hormuz. You cannot effectively stop every single missile and every single drone from hitting their targets, and insurance companies will not cover ships that are currently under fire. Iran has proved control after this 13-day campaign by still asserting control over the strait. And they will demonstrate that by firing on civilian ships if they try to cross again. The U.S. military is great, the U.S. Navy is great, but they were not able to stop these missiles from hitting merchant ships before. They will not be able to stop them from hitting them again. This is all as U.S. officials are saying that the U.S. was running out of interceptor missiles. I don't even think a ground operation is possible at this point. We have about 50,000 troops ready to go into Iran off of the Middle East right now. When we went into Iraq, we had 300,000 troops, and it still wasn't enough. Iran has a more capable military and more rugged terrain, not to mention the tunneling networks that Iran has had time to build and prepare for. There is no military solution to the crisis in Iran anymore. The war is lost. Or maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, guys, drop a follow on TikTok, drop a follow.
By now, if you've watched the news, you know that we're at war with Iran. This is something that was not our choosing. The United States of America is a peaceful nation. We seek peace with everyone and anyone that we can have peace with. Iran has put us in a position where we can no longer sit by and wait to be attacked, wait for a catastrophic attack against you, our people. So our leaders made a decision to preempt the inevitable using data, using intelligence. They made a decision that it was time to take the first step to ensure that Iran does not hit us catastrophically before we can hit them. And so our nation, your sons and daughters, have moved forward. Those who are veterans and serve in our military, they have decided to move forward and to stop this threat so that you may be able to sleep peacefully at night. As a nation, we seek peace. We defend those who cannot defend themselves. The United States is one of the only countries in the world that when we go to war does not seek to gain territory and to gain ground, to take someone else's country. But what we do have is a very long history of fighting to give others the same thing that we enjoy each and every day: freedom. This war will not be easy. Iran is a very powerful nation. They have stockpiled ammo, weaponry, missiles, drones, and they are prepared to use them to do as much damage as they can to the United States of America. I'm thankful today that we have a leadership in Washington who is looking up the road far enough to know that we have to hit them first. I want you to understand there will be casualties. There will be American casualties. And we mourn each and every one of those. We don't take them lightly. But I want you to know that this will expand. You need to prepare for it. Iran has pledged to attack any ship that comes into the Straits of Hormuz and into the Persian Gulf. Since 1775, the United States Navy has had a mission, and that mission is to keep the sea lanes open, to keep the waterways open and free. Iran will not stop that. I will tell you that Iran has no idea. Most people in the world, including most Americans, have no idea of the might and the strength of the United States Navy and our military forces. If Iran attacks one of our ships in the Straits of Hormuz, it will escalate things dramatically. And they might do this by shooting rockets from their shoreline. They may do this by mining the waters, which I assume they probably already have. But understand that if you have a young sailor and he or she is assigned on one of those ships, they have trained for this. They've trained for it from the minute they received and were received in boot camp. Their instructors began to train them, to teach them that this day and other days like it would soon come upon them. And they trained them how to defend themselves and to defend the ship, to defend the sailors beside them, and to defeat the enemy. Know now, yes, tragically, there will be casualties. But know that this must be done. I don't take this lightly. Unfortunately, I'm too old to be there. But like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of other Navy veterans, if I could be there, I would. If I could be there to take their place, I would. If I could give my life for your sons and daughters during these battles, I would. Know now that our leaders in Washington are doing exactly what need to be done. If we don't stop this now, it will be unstoppable. And we, as a free nation, will no longer be free. So I ask you to be brave, to be strong, to support our leadership. It may not always be clear what decisions are being made and why they're being made. But trust me when I tell you, this must be done. And as Americans, we will prevail. We always have, and we always will. God bless America, and God bless our troops. I'm Mike, and this is Mike Unfiltered.
All right, I'm past confused. I'm pissed. What kind of hellish reality are we living in? The President of the United States gets on social media talking about the war with Iran. Iran fires back with the complete opposite story, and I'm sitting here as an American, a veteran, wondering if I fucking trust them more than my own president. Do you understand how fucking insane that is? We're talking about a regime that's backed terrorism for decades, that's threatened to wipe our allies off the map, and somehow the guy sitting in the Oval Office has torched his credibility so badly that people are second-guessing him instead. It doesn't happen by accident. It's what happens when you fucking lie about everything. Big things, small things, stupid things, things that don't even fucking matter, over and over again, until the truth doesn't mean a damn thing coming out of your mouth. And now, when something actually matters, like war, people don't even fucking know what's real anymore. And it's not embarrassing, it's dangerous as hell. Because credibility isn't some extra feature of leadership. It's the whole damn foundation. And if the commander-in-chief can't be trusted in a moment like this, then what exactly are we supposed to fucking stand on? Blind faith? Party loyalty? Vibes? Fuck no. That's how countries make catastrophic mistakes. I've never thought I'd see the day where Americans are looking at a hostile foreign government and going, yeah, but are they the ones telling the truth this time? That should shake you to your fucking core. This ain't left versus right anymore. It's about whether the United States can even trust its own leadership when it matters the most. And right now, that truth is hanging on by a damn thread.
60% of Americans now fully believe that the U.S. war on Iran was fundamentally not worth the effort or the losses the U.S. sustained. And not only that, but most Americans also believe the U.S. failed to accomplish its primary objectives, and they have little confidence in Trump's pathway out of the war, the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran. Public sentiments towards the U.S.-Iran war have shifted significantly since the beginning of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding with Iran, which is meant to end hostilities for 60 days while the U.S. and Iran negotiate terms for a permanent end to the war. And now, according to a national poll from Quinnipiac University, the majority of Americans believe that U.S. military action against Iran was not worth it, and there's now little confidence in diplomatic efforts. But this has largely been split across party lines, with Republicans still clinging to delusion in support of Trump's policies, while Democrats and independents largely accept the reality that U.S. aggression hasn't accomplished much and has actually put the country in a worse geopolitical standing. Democrats overwhelmingly believe that the war was not worth it at 93%, with 66% of independents also saying it wasn't worth it. Yet 75% of Republicans still agree with the war. 76% of Republicans also say they were either very or somewhat confident the deal with Iran would work. But 59% of American voters as a whole disagree and are either not so confident or not confident at all in the Memorandum of Understanding. The deal has also weakened perceptions of the U.S.'s ability to achieve its primary objective, the destruction of Iran's nuclear program, with 61% believing it remains likely that Iran will develop nuclear weapons. So now, more than half of the population can plainly see that this war accomplished nothing after thousands of innocents lost their lives at the hands of U.S. and Israeli aggression, which plundered the region into chaos. Now Americans are realizing that none of it was worth it.
The Iran war is about to go on for much, much longer. we're past those honeymoon days where Trump said it'll be over in 6 weeks. As this new stage of the war begins, there will be no time limit, and the risk of it spreading will grow with each day. 80% spike in US flights from the USA to Iran in the last 3 days. Think military jets flying over from the States, stopping off at Britain and Germany, and then heading over to Iran. Why such a dramatic spike? Because the US is going to be staying around in Iran for a while. Meanwhile, update for you. Jordan's military said it intercepted 7 missiles and 6 drones launched by Iran on Friday. Military targets in Bahrain and Jordan were also targeted by Iran after the US carried out its 13th consecutive night of strikes against Iran. Drones carrying explosives targeted a city in northern Iraq, where US forces are also stationed. Media reports say that at least 7 blasts were heard in Iraq, with witnesses saying that they saw at least 4 plumes of black smoke rising from areas near or inside a base at the city's airport that hosts US forces. We are expecting things to get much worse over the next few days. US embassies across the Middle East have started alerting Americans in the region that options to leave may become limited. And that's due to escalating tensions between the United States and Iran, they say. Israel is also reopening up its underground shelters, and its Prime Minister, Netanyahu, is visiting Trump on Tuesday. Yesterday, Trump hinted that Israel would be willing to join the US in a massive attack against Iran within 2 minutes if needed, though Trump quickly added, "We don't need the help." And over in the Strait of Hormuz, at least 6,000 sailors are still stranded on about 400 vessels. That number had dropped and ships were starting to pass by in the brief pause, shall we call it, by Iran and the US after April, but recent strikes seem to have closed that door. Trump may also now be worried that the Bab el-Mandeb Strait could also close in the near future. Reports suggest that Iran has been sending backup to Yemen, the north of Yemen, to make sure that can happen. If you were a pro-Trump, pro-war viewer this time in March, it's time to ask yourself serious questions. It has been 5 months and the USA is still putting more and more money into this conflict. The war is not over. US troops in the Gulf and civilians in the Gulf continue to suffer from Iran's retaliation. The self-reflection will be tough. Was Iran stronger than you thought? Or was the US administration not fully truthful with you? Or has something gone very, very wrong? Whatever the answer is, it'll be an uncomfortable one.
Hey, this is breaking news. Despite the fact the United States has held off on striking Iran in recent days, Iran says today that they are still in control of the Strait of Hormuz and not actively seeking negotiations with the U.S., saying all of their negotiations are currently taking place with Oman when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. Follow for the latest updates on the situation with Iran.
It's Day 11 of US strikes on Iran, and slowly this war is turning back into what it was in March. Trump said today that for every ship the Iranians hit in the Strait of Hormuz, the US would strike 1 power plant or bridge in Iran. And as the US continues to blockade Iranian oil, Iran has said that if we can't export oil, then no other country in the region will be able to do so either. The price of oil seems to agree that we're in troubled waters. The price of oil rose to around $95 a barrel, still a bit off from what it peaked at in March and April, but it's rising. One eerie sign that things were getting, Even worse, though, was a radio warning sent to ships as they approached the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. It was the militant leaders of North Yemen. They warned sailors that the strait was closed. Several ships are then recorded as turning around. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait is on the opposite side of the Arabian Peninsula to the Strait of Hormuz, and is also crucial for global commercial shipping. It is also one of the more important sea routes for trade. Iran has long hinted that closing it would be the next step in the war. For Trump, that's really bad news because he has not yet secured control of one strait, let alone two. So far, the militant group in Yemen that I can't name has said that the strait is only closed to Saudi Arabia. But one of the ships that got turned around appeared to belong to a Chinese company. All of this is very worrying for the Trump administration. The Secretary of State Rubio said that Iran was threatening the global economy. He added that the US risked creating a precedent in the Middle East of countries controlling straits, charging tolls, and then striking ships if they didn't pay. For Rubio, the fear was that if Iran got away with it, then other countries might soon follow. And here Rubio might actually be right. Some argue that the strait belongs to Iran, some say that it's international waters, but either way, you would be in trouble if that shipping got stuck. And it's worth pointing out that while these straits are close to enemy territory, as the US likes to call it, Iran had never actually closed the strait before. Even during those big sanctions that were loaded on to Iran, even during that big 12-day war led by the US and Israel in 2025, the strait never closed. This problem has come about because of the US. It is a war that should have never happened, as Trump used to say of the Ukraine-Russia war. Yes, Rubio, the precedent is bad. But who started it? Meanwhile, the EU asked its airlines not to operate within the airspace of Jordan. Jordan has come under multiple attacks from Iran. The agency last week also reinstated and toughened its warning to airlines operating in the Middle East, telling them to avoid the airspace of Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, the UAE, and over the Gulf of Oman. And that warning is in place until at least the end of August. So we may only be on day 11 of US strikes on Iran, but we are returning to the very same war from nearly 6 months ago. And it risks getting worse still.
You need to stop scrolling because I have some extremely important war updates. I'm outside of the Washington Monument and I thought it would be important to let you know what's going on. So a barrel of oil has spiked again, and additionally there is some satellite imagery coming out that is showing that a lot more of our soldiers have lost their lives than what we're being told. Don't worry, I have the receipts. As you can see, this chart behind me, oil is just spiking up this week. And unfortunately, all the market manipulation that the president and his cronies have been doing is coming to an end, meaning they're not going to be able to artificially keep the prices down for much longer, and we're all going to face the economic consequence. But what's more important is this airbase in Kuwait. As you can see, that's what it's supposed to look like, and that's the imagery that came out yesterday. I don't know about you, but it sure as hell seems as if there's more than 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 casualties. If there were people in here during the time of this ballistic missile direct hit on the base, it would be upwards of 50 to 100 casualties minimum. And so objectively speaking here, because of the president's actions, we are paying more at the pump, service members have lost their lives, we've taken the lives of over 100 schoolgirls in Iran. The files that were supposed to be released are still concealed. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's like, it baffles my mind how anyone could support him at this point Why are we not revolting? Why have we not abolished our government? Very symbolic thought I made here in DC. I mean, I think it's time. I don't know about you, but I think it's time.
Are you saying that the U.S. and maybe Israel are going to have to relaunch the war again to try and do what they didn't do the first time?
Yes, yes, and it'll be a bigger, worse war. So this is not a situation where we're relaunching the old war. So a lot of the media now is saying, well, are we going back to March? No, this will be much worse than that. We are going to likely have ground operations unfold where we're actually on the coast of Iran. I would say this is 70% likely. What's going on is a fundamental zero-sum disagreement about who will control the Strait of Hormuz. Is it going to be Iran that will control it, in which case they will become the fourth center of world power in about a year and a half, the dominant state in the Persian Gulf and in the Middle East, or America, in which case Iran will go back to becoming the declining power? Hormuz is not just about some tolls. This is more than that. It's geopolitics of the first order and changing the balance of power in the region and really around the world.